Hi there, my name is Zach and I design ShotLister. Today we're going to be going through all the basics of creating your first shot list. So this is going to be a very in-depth tutorial about creating shots and scenes and getting all your data into the app. We're going to have a separate tutorial all about building a schedule. This one's just all about creating that first shot list. I'm going to be using the macOS version of ShotLister. I'm currently running version 5 and should give you a pretty good overview of how to get started. So when you first log in and create an account on ShotLister, you're given this screen where you can create a new project. You can import existing projects. You can also import scripts, which will create a project for you. And you can click here to look at some tutorials or go to our FAQ where we've got a lot of good information. But let's say that you've created a project. I've just got a little demo project I've already created here called Indiana Jones, and I'm going to open that up. So this is what the project looks like when it's open. And there's a few different things. So the basic navigation is on the left. You've got your scenes here, you've got your shoot days, and those are sort of the two modes of ShotLister. We call this prep mode and shoot day mode. When you've got either one of these headers selected on your sidebar over here, which can be open and closed with this button, you can see the project settings. The navigation's a little bit different on iOS, but all the same settings are going to be there. So when you first create your project, you'll want to give it a name. It'll always tell you the last time that it was synced, so that can help with versioning and making sure that everyone's on the same version. And there's a few different settings here. The first one is use episodes, which would be if you're doing an episodic project. This one's a movie, so it doesn't, but if I were to turn that on, you'll see that now we've got an episode. So if I click on that episode, it'll then show me all the scenes that are in that episode. Episodes, you can set what season it is and what number it is. So if you go to season 3, you'll now see it says 301. If it was episode 12, you'd see it's 312. And you can create other episodes. But we're going to be doing a movie, so we don't need our episodes turned on. So to get back to the project settings, I just click on this scene header and turn off use episodes. So this project just has scenes and shoot days. Another option is 24-hour time, and if you turn that on, it just changes the app to use 24-hour clock, which is common in some countries. So that's what that setting does. Another one is called exclude I and O, and that allows you to decide if you want to remove I and O from the shot numbering system, which is sometimes common on films because shot 10I might look like shot 101, or shot 70 might look like 70. So sometimes projects like to have exclude I and O turned on. It's turned on by default. The next setting is automatically start live mode, which is by default turned on. Live mode, which we'll cover in depth in the next tutorial about building a shooting schedule, is something that is really powerful, but there's certain situations where you're doing a simple project and you might not want it turned on. So here's where you can turn it off. And it tells you that if you turn it off, you can still manually mark shots as complete by right-clicking on them on macOS, or if you're on iOS, you just swipe to the right. But I'm going to leave that on. Now, the next thing in project settings is adding crew members. So one of the big things you can do with ShotLister is collaborate with other people. To do that, you do need to have ShotLister Pro, which allows you to invite as many people as you want, and those people can either only be view only, which is really good for crew, or they can have edit privileges. The really cool thing about ShotLister is your whole crew can view your project entirely for free. So you can email and invite all of your crew, keep them on view only, and they don't have to pay a cent. The only people who need to pay for ShotLister Pro are the people that make changes to the project. So that can be really cool because all your crew don't have to pay anything. So this is where you manage inviting crew, and you can change their privileges here. All right, so that's what all the project settings are. Now to dive into the meat and potatoes of your actual shot list. So the way that ShotLister works is you've got your scenes. If I click this, I can see all the scenes listed here and their page count and who's in it and all that type of stuff. If I click here, it'll go into those scenes and I can see all the shots that are in that scene. I can also double click on scenes from this view, and here on macOS, you get a column view of all the different shots that are in that scene. So that's pretty cool. Gives you an idea of how the data flows. It kind of goes episodes, then scenes, then shots. And if you don't have episodes, just scenes and then shots. And then later, when you're getting into scheduling, you have shoot days, and shoot days contain your shots and kind of the order that you're going to be shooting them in. But again, we're going to get all into scheduling on the other tutorial. So that's kind of how everything looks. Now let's pretend like you're going to create your first scene. So I've already got a few here filled out, but I'm going to create a new one just so you can see how that works. So you can click the plus here. It'll automatically create it as the next scene after this one's 10, so it's created 11. And if I select that, you can see here that it shows me all the different settings of that scene. So let's give the scene a name. Let's just say open the arc. And this is what location. I would say, it's on an island. It's exterior. It's in the evening. The action would be what happens in the scene. So for example, this is in the movie Indiana Jones. And so this is the scene where the Nazis open the Ark and ghosts come out. This is where you pick the scene number. So it's pretty late in the movie. I'm just guessing. Let's say it's scene 77. You also have the ability to give it a letter and part. So letters are for when you're doing scene revisions. Later, it's very common as you revise the script that scenes have letters. So for example, this is scene 77 Apple, and you can see that there. Parts is also something that's really common where you might split a scene into two parts because it has two different locations. An example of that might be somebody's in a living room in scene 77, and they're also watching a television, and you have to shoot what's on the television separately in another location, but you want to label them both as scene 77. So if you're doing that, you would call this scene 77 part 1, and you could create another scene and call that 77 Apple part 2. And there you can see how you can have that, and this could have a different scene header. So this could be, park exterior. And so that's how you can split scenes into parts, but we don't need to do that. So I'm going to delete that scene. Page count is pretty self-explanatory. How long is the scene? So you could say it's 4 pages and 4/8. So everything normally is broken into eighths, and so Shotlister is no different. Page number is just what page it's on. So let's say page 80. Color is just color. It's just for your own reference. That could mean time of day. It could mean whether you're done it or not. You can just pick a color, whatever you like. Let's pick yellow. And then cast numbers. This is basically what cast is in the scene. So if I click plus, I'll get a list of all the different casts that we have. Indiana Jones is in that scene. I think in this scene also Marion's in that scene. So I'll click plus here. I'll write Marion. It'll automatically create cast after the highest number. She's probably actually more like number 2. So drag her up and it'll automatically change her number to 2. And you can kind of drag and rearrange people here. And you can see as I'm adding these people, and you can see them being added there. So I'll just click out of that. And then notes is just any notes that you want to have on the scene. Make sure to make it look cool. And you'll be able to see those notes later when you're shooting. So we've created our first scene. So if I double click on that, we are now inside of an empty scene. Oh, I forgot to talk about what these icons are. That's the last thing to do with scenes. So there are some icons here that help you. The check mark means that all the shots in that scene have been shot. The calendar means that all the shots in that scene have been scheduled. And the little sort of half circle means that it's on its way to, you've almost scheduled everything, but you haven't scheduled everything. So that's really helpful to make sure that you haven't missed anything. So I'm going to go back into this empty scene and create our first shot. So if you click this plus, you get an empty shot. And you can fill out your shot information 2 different ways. You can either do it right here from inside this list. So setup is basically what lighting setup it is. So I'll just say 1 for now. Cam is what camera it is. So I'll put A. This is whether it has visual effects or not. So you can fill all that stuff out here. You can also fill it out on the sidebar here. So first, let's give this shot a name. Let's just call it arc. Arc is good. We can say push in on arc, just as the description of what happens in that. We've already done setup and camera. Flag is just, again, it's just sort of a category for you to flag the shot if you want. When I'm shooting, I sometimes flag the shots that I know I can live without if I have to drop stuff. Size is what size the shot is. You can customize this list. Let's just say that it's I have a lot in here. Let's say that it's let's do a medium close-up. So you click that. Gear is just what gear you want to have. So let's say this is going to be on a glide cam. Again, color is really just for your own reference. Estimated time. Now, one of the big parts of what ShotLister does is allow you to build a shooting schedule of your shot list, sort of like a one-liner, but for shots. And a big part of that is estimating how long each shot is going to take. Now, you can change these at any time, and the more you use ShotLister, the better you get at it. But estimated time is, say, an estimated of how long you think it's going to take. So let's say 60 minutes. Now, cast is, if you want to use this, is which cast is in this shot. So we might say this can be helpful when you're building your schedule, is to put all the casts together so that they're not waiting around, or if a certain one has a late call time or something. So you can say that Indiana Jones and Marion are in this shot or not. Now, a huge part of ShotLister is the ability to customize the app. So to see what information is important to you. So I'm going to go out to this other scene that's already been filled out, and that has all the same categories that we've been talking about. But you can turn on and off all the different categories, and you can create your own categories. So if I click on this gear icon here, it's going to show me all the different categories and if they're turned on or off. So for example, I'll turn off storyboards and circle take, and I'm going to turn on done, prep number, and shot number. I can even turn on other things like lens and special effects, and turn off size, and turn off setup, for example. And you'll see when I click done, I've got a completely different version of what ShotLister looks like. So not only has all the columns changed here in this view, but also if I click on a shot, all the different settings that are within your shot settings change as well. So if I turn off flag, for example, you'll see that it disappears from here and from here, which is really cool. So not only can you change how the app looks, but you can also add your own custom categories. So if I click on the gear icon here and go down to new custom category, I can add one. So let's say I want to create a number field for, maybe say I want to make a camera field that uses numbers instead of letters. You can call it cam and click save and click done, and now we'll have a camera field here, which you can put numbers in, or if you want to, you'll see that it's down here, and you can put a number here. I've also made a text field, which is called props, so I could put that, the idle is in this shot, whatever, so you can create your own ones like that. There's also a third type, which is called toggle. This one's really cool because it allows you to pick your own icon for it. So you could say, often what I do is create one that's called kids, which tells me if there's a kid in the shot, because you often need to be very specific about which shots have kids and not for pumpkin time. So you could pick any icon you want. For example, I'll pick this exclamation mark, click save, click done, and now you'll see you've got this kids category. And if you click this button, it creates a little icon. And you can resort these categories to be, however you want. So highly customizable, both in how the UI looks and also what type of information you're tracking, which is really great. Okay, so another thing I wanted to explain is some of these categories I turned on, shot number and prep number. So why do we have two different ways of numbering shots? Well, there's two different situations that you would want a numbering system. We have prep number, which is numerical. So it goes 8.1, 8.2. That's because this is scene 8. And you can see that sequentially goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whereas we have shot number, which has got letters. It's alpha, numeric. It's 8C, 8D, and 8A, which is the first one, is way at the bottom. So why is that? Well, prep number is for when you're tracking things in prep and you don't want those numbers to change later. So that could be you have storyboards, a storyboard document with a numbering system on it, or you have a visual effects budget or shot list that you want to have the numbers stay the same. So those numbers will be in whatever order they are in the scene. So you'll see if I take this shot and move it up here, this shot is now 8.6 and this one is 8.7, where it's remained 8A. What shot number is the order in which they're shot. So if I go over to this shoot day, you'll see that we've got the prep numbers here, which are now all out of order, but the shot numbers are all now in order. So it goes 8A, 8B, 8C, 8D, 8E. And so as you shoot, the order in which things are shot gets changed. You'll move things around, you'll get rid of things, and ShotLister will continuously keep all the shot numbers in order, just like you would on the slates on set. Whereas the prep number will move, wherever it is. So if this is 8.7, no matter what order you shoot it in, that will always be 8.7, which helps for tracking documents, things like visual effects, budgets, and things like that, like I mentioned. So that's why there's two different numbering systems. You can use whichever you want. You can get rid of prep number if you don't want to use it, and you won't see it there. The other one is done. So that tells you if this shot has been completed. And you can basically just go through. If I look at this scene, 9B, which has nothing in done, you can see that none of these shots have been shot. So that can be really helpful for making sure that you didn't miss anything. So that's what done is. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is shot linking. So you'll notice that all these shots have a line between them, except for these two. There's no line between them. Why is that? Well, that's because these shots are linked, meaning if you move one of them, they will both move. So if I drag this one down here, you'll see that they move together. And the reason you want them to move together is two reasons. One, they share the same estimated time. So if I go to this shoot day, you'll see that these two shots are going to be shot in 35 minutes, and they'll be shot at the same time in those 35 minutes. The reason for that is it's A camera and B camera. So you can have as many shots shooting simultaneously as you want. So for example, if I wanted to, say we're getting really ambitious and we want to shoot this shot at the same time, if I click here and then say link with next, you'll see that it's telling me that that's going to change the prep numbers because that's going to move them around here, which is just a little warning. That line goes away, and now all three of these shots are shot in 35 minutes, and I would probably change this to be camera C, or maybe if it's on a drone, camera D, for example. And wherever I move those shots, or if I move something before it, they move together, which is really important to understand. And so as you're doing, say you're doing a multi-camera shoot, in prep mode, it works the same way. Say these two shots were going to be done at the same time. I would link with next and then change this one to be camera B. So that's what shot linking is, which is, as you'll use the app, very powerful. Okay, so we've filled out our scenes, and the next thing to do would be to start building shoot days and then experiencing the magical mode known as live mode. But all that is going to be in the next tutorial. So check that one out. It's called How to Build a Shooting Schedule. If you have any thoughts, any problems you run into, please feel to reach out to us at contact@shotlister.com. You can also join the Discord and talk to the community, talk to the other members there, reach out to tech support there, and look forward to seeing what you guys create. All right, thank you so much, and happy shot listing.